Ma'am, may I know kung mayroon pong pagbabago sa budget ng Office of the President given na isa rin po sa na-criticize yung increase ng OP budget dun sa ratified version?
Yes, as far as the budget of the OP is concerned, yung NEP was followed pero dinagdagan ng 5.2 billion pesos kasi may nangyari nung 2025. No? Yung ASEAN 2026 would have been done in Myanmar. Pero biglang umayaw ang Myanmar kasi walang may gustong pumunta ron na heads of state. Because you know the problem about Myanmar. So, kung alphabetical yung sequence ng pag-hold ng ASEAN, letter P, Philippines, came next. Inako ni Presidente yan. Kasi hindi maaring payagan natin na walang ASEAN. That's a very important part of our international relations. So, ASEAN 2026, to be hosted by the Philippines, we needed to start the work now. So humingi kami, after the submission of the NEP, humingi kami sa Congress ng supplemental funds in addition to what we proposed for the OP sa NEP to the tune of 5.2 billion pesos for 2025. After 2025, we will ask for more, bigger. But that will be in the NEP that will be submitted in 2025 for 2026.
So in short, sir, retained yung increases sa OP budget for 2025? Retained po siya?
It's actually an increase over what we proposed originally sa NEP, but to the tune of 5.2 billion.
Ace Romero, Philippine Star.
Kay Secretary Pakandaman, as a background lang po. So, the projects that were subjected to conditional implementation, if these projects, yes po, if this, sa conditional implementation po, if these projects fail to satisfy the conditions, of course, there will be no release sa funds. What will happen to the funds? As a background lang po.
No release. Wala na po. Hindi po natin,
Saan na po
unreleased appropriation siya.
And what will be
Pag
the
hindi-
use?
It could help reduce the deficit.
For the, okay, ganun na lang po. Sa follow-up lang po, how about po yung expenditures sa defense given that we are also facing territorial defense challenges and internal security? Can you give us background on what happened to defense spending?
I know that, kasi we just received the, I know that nabawasan po yung AFP modernization budget from 50 billion sa NEP to 35 billion po ngayon. However, yearly naman po yan, we try to, inahabol po natin yan. Kumukuha po tayo sa unprogrammed appropriations for that purpose.
Leth Narciso, DZRH.
Sinabi niyo po na bawasan yung AFP modernization na budget na 35 billion. Ano po ang napasamang project ng big ticket projects ng AFP na napasama po sa 35 billion na pondo?
Wala pa yun, no? Meron po kasi tayong, kumabang proseso to, meron pong approve na, ano ba yun? Horizon, ano na tayo ngayon? Horizon 3 na tayo. So may listahan po yan ng lahat ng mga kailangan natin i-purchase for the defense sector. So depende po kasi yan kung naikontrata na nung Department of National Defense. So ang ginagawa po nila usually, of course, we have to note that ano po yan, more than 1 trillion yata yung napirmahan na agreement. Tama ba ako, Director? More than 1 trillion. So, because of lack of fiscal space also, naglalagay lang po tayo ng at least 50 billion, now 35 billion. So, nire-prioritize po ng Department of National Defense kung ano yung babayaran nila. Kasi medyo may proseso din po ang procurement ng defense equipment and
Bea Cupin, Rappler.
Good morning po. I realize this is quite advanced of a question, but have there been discussions on how we prevent a situation like this from happening again, perhaps next year, na kung baga we had to, hold meetings over the holiday break and we had to postpone the signing because the budget that the Congress approved did not align with the budget that the President prepared?
Well, you have to understand, that question is to be explained in this way, We can avoid that by giving to Congress next year, sa next cycle, a NEP that is very comprehensive. But we usually do that. Now, it will be up to the temper of the congressmen who initiate the consideration of the budget. And I hope that they will be conscientized. Because most of those that were taken off probably were, you call them insertions, but that's too simplistic. No, they have their own priorities which they could reflect into the legislative process. And that is what they did. They are within their rights to do that. But here comes now the President who says, where are now my legacy projects, my priority trusts? They have given them to the back burner. So that is what instigated the President to make cuts that did not reflect the concept in the proposed budget through the NEP.
And sir, if I may follow up, how do we intend to check that temper, considering, of course, Congress is dominated by allies of the President?
We do not check except through veto. Because the enactment process is exclusive prerogative of Congress. Yung veto power of the President is the only way to check. Okay? That's post-enactment. But then we have this constitutional setup that when the President exercises his right of veto, the message could be transmitted to the Congress, to the lower house initially, because that is the originating chamber of Congress, and they could have the override power. They could exercise that if they want to. But usually in a situation like this, I don't recall that an override has ever happened. These two branches of government, the legislative and the executive, they work very well in coordination. And it's only when they are at loggerheads that you can expect a direct conflict. Pero your question is the theoretical, more in the abstract. So that's not easy to answer. Checks and balances.
Doon po ba sa mga ibinito ng Pangulong Marcos, meron personal siyang nakakita, pero meron din ba kayong nakita na mukhang kinakailangang ibito at nirekomenda nyo kay Pangulong Marcos?
Well, as the chief executive, he gives us the direction. He has his own way or means of saying this is excessive, this is not something we proposed, etc. But when he said that let's take out things that did not emanate from the NEP or that exceeded the NEP or that took away from the NEP many items, etc., and redirected them, well, we have to be guided by that kind of direction. So that is when the cabinet became very useful. Yung sabi ni Secretary Bunuan just now, muntik nang hindi nagpasko. Ewan ko what he meant by that. But the cabinet and the president really acted together. You probably have seen the publications about how we went to work. The economic team, especially, because these matters are money matters. Thank you for your questions. Wala namang softball yata na binato ninyo ngayon, Maraming salamat at nagkaroon tayo ng ganitong pagkakataon upang magkaunawaan sa ganitong bagay na napakamahalaga sa buhay ng ating bansa. Ang budget, DIGA, is always the most important bill that can be enacted by the Congress and that can be approved by the President. Kaya mahalaga sa kanya na hindi re-enacted ang ating budget sa darating na taon. Kasi malaki ang impact sa ating ekonomiya at ayaw niyang magkaroon ng loose momentum. Okay. So, itong mga tanong nyo, sana magkaroon sila ng impact sa taong bayan upang maintindihan nila or maunawaan ang nangyari ngayong araw na ito. Sa panawagan na ang budget natin ay isang budget na unconstitutional, nais ko pong sabihin sa inyong lahat na hindi po magkakaroon ng ganong pagkakataon na unconstitutional ang budget. This is the interplay between the Congress and the executive branch. Yung pagsasabi na unconstitutional ito, mangyayari lamang kung may maghahain ng demanda sa judiciary, the third branch of government. Pero sa karanasan ko bilang dating miyembro ng judiciary, mahirap pong dalhin sa Supreme Court ito kung in good faith pareho yung dalawang branches of government. Pero as I said in the beginning today, this morning, hindi natin mapipigilan kung mayroong mga quarters who would still like to be heard on this issue. But I hope they should not because that will again be distracting us. Tungkol sa PhilHealth, sinabi ng ating Pangulo kanina na walang mababawas na benepisyo kundi madadagdagan pa. At pinaliwanag ni Secretary Ralph Recto ngayon na ang PhilHealth ay maraming resources na maaari niyang gamitin sa pagpapalago na ang benepisyo para sa mga kababayan natin. Huwag kayong mag-alala. Ang inyong executive branch ay maingat at matipid. Hindi naman. ibang connotation ng matipid mabusisi sa paggamit ng ating resources. So, with that as the final say, I don't know if that is the final say, maganda ang darating na taon para sa atin dahil na-approve na yung ating budget. Happy New Year to all.
Thank you very much, Secretary Bersamin, Secretary Recto, Secretary Pangandaman, Secretary Balisacan, and Secretary Bonoan. That wraps our press briefing today. Thank you and good day. Thank you.